All right, hey everyone, get ready because we are diving deep today. We're talking all about content marketing.
You've probably heard about it.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It really is.
We are breaking down this essay called Content Marketing Basics, Types, and Tools, a foundation for business success.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's a great starting point,
Yeah.
but we're going way beyond the basics here.
We have to.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Think of this deep dive as your crash course in content marketing strategy.
Whether you're prepping for a big meeting or just curious about the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
What's really interesting about content marketing is that it's like a total shift from how marketing used to be.
Okay, how so?
Well, it's less about interrupting people with ads, like the old days.
Yeah.
It's more about, well, the essay puts it well, building relationships,
Building relationships. Okay, I get that.
providing value. So you become that go-to source in your field.
That makes sense. But I think building relationships, it can sound, I don't know, kind of fluffy. Right. So how do we actually make that happen, make it real? How do we translate that into a content strategy that gets results?
That's where understanding your audience is super important. It goes from just a buzzword to a really important step.
Right.
So you got to think about their pain point.
Their pain points. Okay.
What keeps them up at night? What are they desperately searching for online?
Okay, so their problems,
Right. And your content, it becomes the solution, the guide.
like a trusted friend.
Exactly. Offering advice.
I see. So it's not just churning out content for the sake of it.
No.
It's about solving real problems for real people.
Yes.
I could see how that would be way more effective than just like blasting out generic marketing messages.
It's a whole different approach. And when
I
you
got it.
hit that sweet spot, when you've got targeted, relevant content,
Yeah.
you see higher engagement, more people sharing it, and ultimately you get a stronger return on your investment. And that's what we all want, right?
Yeah, that's the goal. But let's get into the specifics here. We can't just talk about any content, right?
Right.
The essay mentions a whole bunch of different types. So what are we talking about here? What kind of content are we looking at?
It's interesting. The essay calls it a smorgasbord.
A smorgasbord.
Yeah, like a buffet.
A buffet of content. I like it.
So many options. But, the real skill is knowing which dishes to pick for your audience.
Okay, so let's ditch the buffet for a minute and get strategic.
Okay.
For someone who's trying to position themselves as like a thought leader, what kind of content should they be putting out there?
Well, blog posts, those are still really effective.
Okay, still relevant.
Very much so. But they can't just be like information dumps,
Just throwing information out there, yeah.
You have to go deeper. Think original research, really in-depth case studies, data-driven insights.
Okay, adding that extra value. Going beyond what everyone else is doing.
That's what gets people's attention.
I like it. But what about visuals? I mean, those seem to be everywhere these days.
Visuals, oh, they're so important. Especially now, everyone's so overloaded with information, you need something to catch their eye.
Yeah, totally.
Infographics are fantastic for, making complex data easy to digest.
Right, breaking it down.
And video, oh, video is huge.
That's its own universe.
It really is.
And speaking of universes, everyone and their mother seems to be launching a podcast these days.
It's true.
So where do those fit in?
Podcasts are amazing for really diving deep into topics, having conversations like we are now.
Right.
You can't really replicate that with other content types.
So you're building that connection.
Yes, that intimacy.
Okay, that makes sense. But I'm guessing it's not enough to just pick a content type and hit publish, right?
Oh no, there's got to be more to it.
There's got to be a strategy.
Absolutely. The essay talked about this, but it's worth emphasizing, think about the customer journey.
A customer journey, okay.
Where are they in their decision-making process? Are they just realizing they have a problem? Are they researching solutions? Or are they ready to buy?
So different types of content for different stages.
Exactly. You wouldn't offer someone a dessert menu before they've even sat down.
Yeah,
Right.
see, I'm starting to see the big picture here.
And that's where I think a lot of content marketing efforts go wrong.
How so?
They don't think about the journey. They just throw stuff out there and hope something sticks.
Right.
But it's got to be deliberate. You have to know where each piece fits into the overall journey you're guiding your audience through.
Okay, I'm with you. So we've got a strategy. We've picked our content types. What's next?
Let's get creating.
But actually creating all this stuff, that seems like a lot. Do we need a whole team of designers and writers and videographers?
Well, that's the beauty of the digital age,
Okay, what do you mean?
You don't need a huge team or tons of money to create great content. There are so many tools out there that can really level the playing field, even for small businesses and solopreneurs.
Okay, tool time. But I'm already feeling overwhelmed.
It's a lot.
How do we even start to figure out which tools to use?
Well, that's a great question, and one that I think the essay doesn't really address.
Okay.
It's not just about having tools, it's about knowing which ones are right for your specific needs and goals.
So how do we narrow it down? I mean, there are tools for everything these days. Writing, visuals, video editing, managing social media. It's a lot.
It really is.
How do we even begin?
I think a good place to start is to really assess your strengths and weaknesses. What are you good at?
Right.
Where do you need some help?
Okay, play to your strengths and then outsource or use tools to fill in the gaps.
Exactly.
Like, I'm a decent writer, but graphic design, no way.
Well, that's where a tool like Canva comes in.
Canva.
It's so easy to use. I mean, even I can create decent graphics with it.
Yeah.
And trust me, I'm no designer.
So you're saying I can make something that looks good?
They've got templates for everything. Social media posts, presentations, infographics, you name it.
Canva? Okay, I've heard of that. I'll have to check it out. What about video editing? That still seems pretty intimidating.
Video editing does have a learning curve, but it's becoming more and more accessible. The essay mentions Premiere Pro, which is the industry standard, but, well, it can be expensive and complex.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
There's a tool called DaVinci Resolve.
DaVinci Resolve, okay.
It actually has a free version,
Yeah.
and it's surprisingly powerful.
3? You have my attention.
It might not have all the fancy features of Premiere, but it's a great way to just dip your toes into video editing.
Okay.
And you might even find you have a knack for it.
You never know. I wouldn't hold my breath, but I'm willing to try it. But let's be realistic here. Even with all the best tools in the world, creating content takes time and effort.
Absolutely.
So-
Time and effort are essential ingredients.
You can't get around that.
That's why it's so important to have a content calendar,
Okay.
a plan for what you're going to create and when you're going to publish it.
So it's like a roadmap.
It is, to keep you on track.
Yeah. I love a good roadmap. But even with the best plan, I think it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and lose sight of the bigger picture.
It happens to the best of us.
So how do we stay focused on what really matters?
I think it comes back to remembering the why behind what you're doing. Why are you doing content marketing in the first place?
Right, the why.
What are you hoping to achieve? Are you trying to build brand awareness?
Okay, brand awareness.
Generate leads? Or drive sales?
Those are good goals.
You need to have those clear in your mind.
Yeah, I see that. But how do we know if our content is actually working?
That's the million-dollar question.
I mean, there are so many metrics to keep track of. Website traffic, social media engagement, email signups. How do we even make sense of all that?
Well, that's where analytics come in. And the essay mentions Google Analytics. It's like a gold mine of information. But it can be really overwhelming if you don't know what to look for.
Yeah, I've been in there, and it's a lot.
It can be intimidating.
So break it down for us. What are the key things we should be paying attention to?
Well, it depends on your goals, of course. But some universal ones are website traffic.
Okay, traffic.
Your bounce rate, that's how quickly people leave your site.
Oh, right.
Time on page. And conversion rates.
And those tell us.
Whether people are actually finding your content, if they're sticking around, and if they're taking the actions you want them to take.
So analytics, it's like having a content marketing GPS.
Exactly. But data alone isn't enough. You also need to understand the why behind the numbers.
Okay, the why. We're back to that.
Why are people bouncing from a certain page? Why is that call to action not converting?
So we have to dig a little deeper.
Connect the dots between the data and the actual user experience.
Interesting. So it's almost like detective work.
It is. You're always gathering clues,
Looking for patterns.
testing hypotheses, figuring out what your audience responds to.
I like that analogy. Speaking of figuring things out, let's talk about SEO. I know it's important, but I'm still a little fuzzy on how it all works. The essay mentions some tools, but I'd love to get a better handle on the actual strategies involved.
SEO, it's always changing, but the basic idea is to understand what your audience is searching for and then optimizing your content to show up in those search results.
Okay, so it's all about being found.
Tools like SEMrush and Ahrefs can be really helpful for this.
SEMrush and Ahrefs.
Okay.
So I'm adding those to my list to check out. What about the content itself?
Yes,
There are things we can do to make it more SEO friendly.
absolutely. You want to use relevant keywords in your content, but in a natural way.
Right, not just stuffing keywords in there.
No, it has to sound good. Optimize your headings, your meta descriptions, and build high-quality backlinks.
Backlinks, those are still a thing.
Oh, more than ever. Backlinks are like votes of confidence from other websites.
Okay.
They tell Google that your content is valuable.
So it's not just about what's on our website. It's about building those relationships with other websites and getting them to link back to our content.
You got it.
It's like content networking.
And the more high-quality backlinks you have, the higher your content will rank in the search results, and the easier it'll be for people to find you.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
This is all starting to click.
Yeah.
But there's one thing I'm still a little stuck on.
Okay. What is it?
We've talked about blog posts and videos, infographics,
Right.
but how do we manage all this content? I mean, where does it all live?
Well, that's where a content management system comes in, or a CMS.
CMS, okay.
It's the backbone of your website. It makes it easy to create, organize, and publish all your content.
Okay. The essay mentions a few. WordPress, Drupal, Joomla. What's the difference?
They're all popular platforms, but they have their pros and cons.
Okay.
WordPress is probably the most user-friendly.
Right.
Drupal is really powerful, but has a steeper learning curve.
Okay.
Joomla is somewhere in between.
So choosing the right CMS, it's kind of like choosing a car, right?
I like that analogy.
You need to think about your needs, your budget, your technical skills.
Exactly. And just like cars, there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Okay.
You need to find the platform that really fits your content marketing goals.
Makes sense.
Uh.
I'm feeling a lot more clear about the whole content management thing. But before we move on, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier.
What?
Social media.
Yes.
It's such a huge part of content marketing, but it can feel like a total time suck.
I hear you. That's why social media management tools are so important.
Okay, so tell us about those. What are some of the best ones out there?
Well, Hootsuite, Buffer, and Sprout Social are all really popular.
I've heard of those.
They can save you a ton of time.
Okay, how?
They let you schedule posts in advance, track your engagement, analyze your performance, and you can even manage multiple social media accounts from one place.
So it's like a social media command center.
Basically, yes.
Sign me up. But with all these different platforms and algorithms changing all the time, it's hard to keep up.
It can be tough. But that's why it's important to stay informed. Read up on the latest trends and best practices. And remember, it's not about being on every single platform.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being strategic.
So quality over quantity.
Yes. And tailoring your content to each platform and its audience.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm starting to see that content marketing is all about being adaptable.
And staying ahead of the curve.
Okay, so we've covered a lot here. We've talked about tools and strategies, analytics, SEO, social media. It's kind of amazing how many moving parts there are to content marketing.
There are a lot of pieces to the puzzle, but it's
Yeah.
a fascinating puzzle to solve.
It is. But before we get too carried away, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on something that's been generating a lot of buzz lately, AI and its impact on content creation.
AI, that's a big one. Yeah, it's definitely shaking things up.
So AI for content marketing, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
A little bit, right?
Like, is this the beginning of the robot takeover? Are they going to be writing all our content for us?
Not quite a takeover, but yeah, AI is changing the game. We're seeing all these AI-powered tools popping up
Oh, I bet.
that can help with things like, topic research and content generation, even SEO optimization.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's pretty amazing. So, it's not about replacing human creativity. It's more like having a superpowered assistant.
I like that, a
Uh,
super-powered assistant.
Right. It helps us streamline all those tedious tasks, analyze data more efficiently and personalize content at a much larger scale.
But at the end of the day, the human touch is still important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The strategic thinking, the creativity, those are all still crucial.
I'm glad to hear that. I was getting a little worried for a second.
I understand. Nobody wants robots writing all the blog posts and making all the videos.
Exactly. So AI is one big trend to watch. Any others you're keeping an eye on?
Definitely. Personalization is becoming huge.
Personalization. Oh,
Okay. It's not enough to just create generic content and blast it out to everyone anymore.
yeah, I can see that.
People want that tailored experience, something that speaks directly to their needs and interests.
It makes sense, right? We're all drowning in information these days.
We are.
So we naturally tune out anything that doesn't feel relevant.
That's exactly it. And that's where data comes in again. By really understanding our audience, their preferences, their behavior,
Right.
we can deliver content that they actually find valuable at the right time, on the right platform.
So it's like taking content marketing from, I don't know, a shotgun approach
Mhm.
to like a laser-focused sniper rifle.
I like that analogy. Very precise, very relevant.
What about interactive content? I've been seeing more of that lately, like quizzes and polls and interactive infographics.
You're right, it's definitely gaining traction.
It seems like people are looking for something more engaging.
They want to be a part of it. Interactive content's a great way to cut through all the noise, you know?
Right.
Get people actively involved with your brand.
So you're turning content consumption into a two-way conversation.
Exactly. It's a fantastic way to boost engagement and build those strong connections with your audience.
I can see that working really well.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that be a good way to gather data on your audience too?
Absolutely. You can learn a lot about their preferences and what they respond to.
So we're back to data again.
It's everywhere.
It seems like it's the key to all these trends we're talking about. AI, personalization, interactive content.
It's the foundation.
It's all about using data to create those really meaningful and effective content experiences.
You got it. But it's not just about collecting data, it's about understanding it and using it strategically to make better decisions.
This has been an amazing deep dive. We've gone from the basics of content marketing to exploring all these cutting-edge trends and tools.
I agree.
I feel like I've learned so much about this ever-changing world of content.
It's a wild ride, but it's definitely an exciting one.
But before we wrap up, I'd love to leave our listeners with a little something to think about.
Okay, what do you have in mind?
Thinking about everything we've discussed today, what's one small step, one thing they can do this week to really level up their content marketing game?
Ooh, I like that. It's all about taking action, right?
Even something small.
Even a tiny step forward is progress.
Exactly. So maybe try a new tool or experiment with a different content format or just spend a little time diving into your website data.
It all adds up.
Those little actions can make a big difference in the long run.
They really can. And remember, content marketing, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
I like that.
There's always something new to learn, something new to experiment with, always room to grow.
So keep learning, keep experimenting, and keep creating amazing content.
Don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
The world needs to hear your voice and your unique perspective.
Exactly. Until next time, happy content creating. Yeah, it's a game changer for sure.
AI for content marketing, huh? It sounds pretty futuristic, almost like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
It makes you wonder, are robots going to be writing all our blog posts and creating all our videos soon? Like, is this the start of the robot takeover?
Not quite a takeover, but AI is definitely making a big impact. We're already seeing a ton of AI-powered tools that can help us with so many aspects of content marketing.
Like what?
Well, things like topic research, for example. You know, figuring out what people are searching for and what kind of content they want to see. AI can analyze huge amounts of data to identify trends and give you insights that would take humans forever to uncover.
That's amazing.
It really is. And it can also help with generating content itself. Like, there are AI tools that can write blog posts, social media captions, even video scripts.
Wow, so AI is doing the creative work now.
Well, not exactly. It's more like a tool that can help us be more efficient and productive. It can generate ideas, write drafts, and even optimize content for SEO.
So it's not replacing human creativity, it's augmenting it.
That's a great way to put it. We still need the human touch, the strategic thinking, the emotional intelligence to truly connect with our audience. But AI can definitely help us streamline a lot of the tedious and time-consuming tasks.
I like that. It's like having a super smart assistant who can do all the heavy lifting so we can focus on the bigger picture.
Exactly. It frees up our time and energy so we can be more strategic and creative. So, yeah, AI is a huge trend to watch in the content marketing world.
It sounds like it. Any other big trends you're keeping an eye on?
Well, personalization is becoming increasingly important. It's not enough to just create generic content anymore. Consumers expect more. They want experiences that are tailored to their specific needs and interests.
I get that. I mean, we're all bombarded with so much information these days, it's overwhelming. We tend to tune out anything that doesn't feel relevant to us personally.
Exactly, and that's where data comes in again. By understanding our audience's preferences, their demographics, their behavior, we can create content that really resonates with them.
So we need to know who we're talking to and what they care about.
Absolutely. It's about moving away from the spray and pray approach and getting laser focused with our content, delivering the right message to the right person at the right time.
Sounds like a recipe for success. What about interactive content? I've noticed more of that popping up lately, things like quizzes, polls, interactive infographics. Seems like people are looking for more engaging experiences online.
You're right. Interactive content is definitely on the rise. It's a great way to break through the noise and capture people's attention.
It's more fun and engaging than just reading a static article or watching a passive video.
Exactly. It gives people a chance to participate, to interact with your brand, and to learn something new in a fun and memorable way.
I like that. It feels more like a conversation than a one-way broadcast.
It does. And it's a win-win because it's not only engaging for the audience, but it also provides valuable data for you as a content creator. You can learn a lot about your audience's preferences and how they interact with your brand based on their responses to interactive content.
It's like a two-way street. Everyone benefits. So it seems like data is really the connecting thread here. Whether we're talking about AI, personalization, or interactive content, it's all about using data to create better content experiences.
Absolutely. Data is the fuel that powers content marketing. But it's not just about collecting data for the sake of it. It's about understanding what the data tells us and using it to make informed decisions about our content strategy.
Data helps us understand our audience, create more relevant content, and measure our success. It's a critical piece of the puzzle.
It really is. Wow, this has been such an insightful conversation. We've covered so much ground today.
We have. We've gone from the basics of content marketing to exploring all these exciting trends and technologies. I feel like I have a much better understanding of the content marketing landscape now.
Me too. It's
Yeah.
been a fantastic deep dive. And it's important to remember that content marketing is an ever-evolving field. What works today might not work tomorrow. So it's crucial to stay curious, keep learning, and never stop experimenting.
That's great advice. I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. But before we go, I'd love to leave our listeners with one final thought to ponder.
Okay, I like it. What is it?
Thinking about everything we've discussed today, what's one small step you can take this week to level up your content marketing game? It doesn't have to be anything huge, just one small action to move you forward.
That's a great challenge. It's all about taking action no matter how small. Every step counts.
Exactly. So maybe you could try out a new tool we talked about, or experiment with a different type of content, or even just spend a few minutes looking at your website analytics. Whatever it is, make a commitment to take one small step this week.
I love it. Action is key. And remember, content marketing is a journey, not a destination. There's always something new to learn, something new to try, and always room for growth. So embrace the challenge, have fun, and keep creating amazing content that connects with your audience.
That's a great way to put it. So to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of content marketing. We hope you found it valuable and inspiring. Keep creating, keep experimenting, and keep sharing your unique voice with the world.
Until next time.